What's up, guys? It's normally me in this family that does the travelling, as you know. I'm always away doing something, running around at races or giving talks all over the place all the time. But this week, it's Claire who's gone away. So just for one night, but basically 2 days, I'm going to be left here on my own to look after the house, the dogs, the kids. I just don't know if I can cope. This doesn't happen that often, I have to say, that Claire goes away. It's very rare, in fact. But whenever she does, without fail, she always leaves a job list. Now, what's all that about? I don't leave a job list when I go away. But anyway, part of that job list involves cutting the grass, so that will be today's mission. Before I can do that, I've got to clear up dog toys, kid toys, dog poo, by the look of it. Hopefully no kid poo, and a bunch of leaves, and then I can crack into it. What definitely doesn't help during that process is every time you pick up a dog toy, God, I've got to cut those leaves back. Every time you pick up a dog toy, the dogs go and pick it up from the pile of dog toys and run back out into the garden with it, thinking it's a game. Now, I'm sure all the keen gardeners out there are going to tell me I'm doing this wrong, but my kind of take on this is that the lawnmower kind of acts a bit like a giant vacuum cleaner, doesn't it? So, do I really need to sweep up all of these leaves, or will the lawnmower, as it drives over them, not just suck them up and put them in the box? That's my theory, anyway. Hasn't been started for a while. We have a problem. Now, I am absolutely no expert in gardening. I've made that very clear already, but I'm pretty sure that that's not supposed to happen. There are only three wheels on my wagon. It's lost a little C-clip, and then the spacer off the wheel, which the thing that holds the wheel onto the axle. I mean, how on earth am I supposed to find that in a whole garden's worth of freshly cut grass? I mean, that is ridiculous. That's needle in haystack type stuff. Oh, God. I haven't quite finished either. Nightmare. Right, I haven't got time to look for this now because I have actually got a lunch appointment very soon. So, that's where it's going to stay for now, and don't know, might have to make something. I'm off to meet a guy now, an old friend of mine, who actually we worked together at McLaren. He worked on my car when I was still a mechanic at McLaren. He's also worked at Jordan Grand Prix. He's currently working at Carlin Motorsport. Motorsport guy through and through. He's a dear old friend, and it's going to be really nice to catch up with him. I know that he's also been kind enough to buy a copy or two of my book, which he wants signing as well. So really looking forward to having a good catch up over lunch. So the guy I'm meeting is called, well, we called him Dyson. Do you know what? I don't actually know what his real name is. That's terrible. I've known him for years and don't know what his real name is. He's called Dyson because he's a Japanese fella, and he eats his food in the most extraordinary fashion. I mean, hoovers it up. There you go, vacuums it up like you wouldn't believe, and that's where Dyson came from. But he is one of the nicest guys in motorsport, one of the good guys, and one of the most passionate and dedicated guys. He lives and breathes motorsport. I mean, like to an incredible level, and that's one of the things I love about him. He's so passionate about it. So whenever we get together, we just talk motor racing, and you know what? That's cool with me. That's good. Right, back from lunch, which was great, and as predicted, we talked about nothing other than motor racing, and it was great. Really good to catch up with him. So that was cool. Now back home, just about got enough time for a very quick dog walk before I then go pick the kids up from school. Come back, I've got a man coming round to look at the options for fitting a log burner in the house, because I really can't wait to get one of those in for the winter. Then it'll be getting the kids ready for getting kids' dinner ready, sorting my dinner out, doing the housework, all the chores, and then, well, I don't know what happens after that, because normally that would be the point where I would sit down with Mrs. P and have a glass of wine and talk about the day, or sit and watch some sort of box set on the telly or something like that, just to wind down at the end of the day. But she's not here tonight. I'm home alone, so I don't know what I do. Actually, it might be an Xbox opportunity. A few laps of the Interlagos circuit. I always like to actually, and this is a good tip for anyone who's either got some sort of games console or got kids who've got one, do some laps of the circuit that weekend's Grand Prix is happening on ahead of the weekend. It really does give you a feel and an understanding of what that circuit's like, what the intricacies of that track are like. And when they're talking about that then over the course of the race weekend, you really have a much better understanding, a much better feel for what the drivers and the commentators are all going on about. I highly recommend it. I'm sure lots of you probably already do it as well. I'll tell you what's interesting. I played this earlier on this evening. This is basically what happens when Claire's away. I am practicing the Brazilian Grand Prix on the Xbox. I call it research. What's interesting though is I played this earlier on this evening. It was pretty rubbish because I haven't played it for a while. It's pretty rubbish if I'm honest. Just played it again now, having had probably 3 or 4 whiskies throughout the course of the evening. Much better driver. Anyway, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this whole gaming and esports, virtual racing championships that are going on right now, and how you think it fits into Formula 1 or motorsport, real world motorsport. Does it fit into Formula 1? I've seen loads of comments on the F1 Twitter and Instagram pages where they have used their regular F1 accounts to promote their esports events and championships, and the comments have all been about, get this off my feed. You know, I'm not interested in esports. I don't want that to be as part of my Formula 1 feed. It's not the same thing. It's kids mucking about in their bedroom. Is that what you think of it? The reality is that proper professional esports championships now are highly professional, actually great racing. If you've never seen it, just spend a few minutes going to check it out, because it is very good, high quality, extremely talented people that are taking part, and the racing's great. So go and have a look. But I'd love to know what your thoughts are. I would like to cover a bit more of it on this channel, so I'm going to do a bit of research first, and start to cover the kind of things that people are up to, the simulators that people use to practice on, the championships that are out there that are being raced in at the moment, and of course the F1 Esports Championship. But let me know, is that content that you'd like to see, or are you just really not bothered at all about esports in general? I'd love to know your thoughts. We survived the night without Mummy, didn't we? Yeah! We survived. Just. Daddy stayed up way too late playing Xbox last night.
Well, you played Whoopee.
No, I played racing games and some FIFA.
Which racing games there? F1?
Yeah.
It's quite fun, but it's quite hard.
Yeah.
We survived the night!
Mummy's back today.
Yay! We all need to celebrate.
Celebrate with Diggy. Da, 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 da.
Hello. What's going on here? Something being filmed. They use this part of the world quite a lot for filming. Lots of movies been filmed around here. Lots of TV shows, kind of Netflix dramas. So I don't know what this one is, but it looks like a reasonably sized production. Dogs are off to the water. Obviously took absolutely no notice of that. So last night I stayed up way later than I should have done, playing Xbox, researching for the Brazilian Grand Prix this weekend. But it was really interesting. I mean, I've got myself in the zone now. I feel absolutely at one with the circuit, totally comfortable with it, but it's a very tricky circuit, I have to say. Some really difficult sections to it. Turn 1, particularly difficult not to lock brakes. One of the fastest, probably the fastest part on the circuit. And yet as you turn in, the circuit just drops away from you. Really, really easy to lock the inside front wheel. You know, both in the game and in reality. And then a number of others where understeer is just a massive problem because cambers are changing and you're up and down over elevation. Juncao, which is the sort of second to last corner, if you like, which is the one that we came out of and then saw Timo Glock back in 2008 going slowly, and an old MB uttered those now famous words, "Is that Glock?" So that was coming out of Juncao, but Juncao is another one where it's a heavy braking zone and a reasonably tight or sharp left-hander, and understeer again, massive issue. So I was kind of playing around with the settings last night, trying to dial out the understeer, and it is quite fascinating. I mean, it's only a Codemasters game, and I know that on things like iRacing, it's much more detailed. I'd really like to get into some of that, to be honest. In fact, I might do. I've got a longer term plan of sort of building like an office, or a man cave. I'm going to call it an office. Sounds more sophisticated, down the end of the garden. And in that little office will definitely be some kind of gaming setup. But anyway, that's a bit further down the line for now. At the moment, I've got to stick with the Xbox. But look, as I said last night, let me know what your thoughts are on this whole esports and virtual racing scene. I think there's a lot to it, but I'd love to know what you think as well. Right, I'm going to leave you there. We are up for our morning dog walk, where the weather has changed slightly from yesterday. It just got wet a minute ago, where the heavens opened just for 30 seconds. And that is exactly the sort of thing we can expect in Interlagos this weekend. So whatever you're doing, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the race. I think and I hope it'll be a great one. And I will talk to you guys again on Monday. Don't forget to get your questions in for Ask Elvis on Monday. Anything about the race or otherwise. Pop them in the comments to any of these videos, pop them on social media, but whatever you do, use the hashtag AskElvis, and then I'll be able to find them. Thanks guys, have a great weekend.